So, and then there were five. It used to be six, but one just had to be retired because it was unfit for purpose.
Yeah.
Frigate HMS Iron Duke has been limping along since 2017.
Yeah, right.
And now, just like my old car, it's more expensive to run than the actual value of the vehicle. In my old car's case, I keep it for sentimental value. But in a war scenario case, the ship just had to go.
Mm-hmm.
And there are no plans to build another one to put in its place just yet. And to be quite honest, the five remaining frigates are looking a little rough around the edges also, and they aren't getting any younger.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever will the neighbours say? The shipbuilding industry in the UK is all but at a standstill, and even if it were all up and running, to replace HMS Iron Duke would take years. And what will Vladimir Putin itching his fingers to invade the UK? The current government finds itself in a bit of a pickle.
Yeah.
The Royal Navy is planning to replace the current frigates in the coming years, as they said.
Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah.
Which, I mean, they aren't going to do it yesterday, so it must be in the coming years. Right?
Yeah. It sounds like something else I've just said the other day on internet. Yeah.
And Sir Gwyn Jenkins is planning for a hybrid navy with drone ships, more warships, and submarines in the years ahead, he said.
Mm. Oh, yeah. Good.
Yeah. Yet another advisor in the defence, of which are many, Sir Richard Barrons, said the MOD is backwards on investments in the military. Former NATO Secretary General George Robertson said last month that there needs to be urgent recapitalisation in the armed forces of the UK.
Mm.
Talk about stating the obvious.
Well, I'm
I'm
afraid.
sure these people. I'm sure these people just say it just to be heard.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
expect. Yeah. You took the words out of my mouth there. Yes.
So Richard Barrons, said that the army has no more money to buy new weapons before 2030. So this is going to give you an idea of when the Navy ships are going to be built,
Mm.
what the Navy is going to be doing.
Yeah.
No, not before 2030, and can only, which is also, by the way, coincidentally, when Labour is the end of Labour's tenure in the government. So they're going to throw that pineapple
Yeah.
Abakashi to the next ones in power. But anyway,
Yeah.
before 2030, you can only scrape enough money for conventional platforms like helicopters.
Mm.
So they might be able to build a helicopter or two.
Mm.
He said the armed forces know what they have to do, but they just don't have the money to do it.
Mm.
Now,
Yes.
to be honest, after squandering £16.4 billion on an armoured vehicle which still doesn't work, might be the reason why the military coffers are empty.
Mm.
Our friendly Ajax.
Yes.
In the meantime, the government wants to include itself in a £90 billion loan to Ukraine,
Mm.
interest free, to try and show it is a major European player. So no money for the British
Yeah.
uh, military,
Yeah.
lots of Wonga or Ukraine. You work that one out.
Yeah. Well, I stopped trying to work out the way that, yeah, it's all working at the moment a long time ago. Yeah. Okay. Well, getting back to it, I mean, when we talk about old things, one day my wife said to me, because she knows my like of history.
But she's not the old thing, is she?
Well, she said to me, you like old things, don't you? And my mouth was ahead of my brain on that one. And let's just put it that way. I didn't get my dinner cooked that day. Yeah.
You said, I'm still with you, aren't I?
Yeah, yeah, that was it. Kind of along with that. Yeah, I still like you. Yeah, so I keep you about for
Yeah.
sentimental reasons. Yes,
And like my old car, she's more expensive to keep than the value. No, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that.
yeah. Well, when you put this on, this looks like just a little bit of gold. The value of it is, yeah. Uh, okay, well, that's enough sexism, I think, on this one. Yeah, let's get back to where we're going. Yes, I admit it with sexism. thing is, this gets women laughing. This does as well. But yeah. Now I think we've covered it before. Trying to predict what you will need in the future militarily is a difficult. Yeah, we don't. There's no military crystal ball. I mean, when we talk about,
Well, according to Barron, he wants drone ships and new high tech frigates and submarines.
well, he's probably not wrong, but
Specialist supply.
years ago, the talking was we don't need navies anymore. Yeah, what use is a navy? And suddenly, we need navies. Um, yeah, but yeah, because I yeah, well, I've covered this before. I mean, we talked about Ajax. I mean, yeah, it's not a tank, is it? It's a mobile armored vehicle, a light armored vehicle.
I had a huge argument on
Yeah.
in the
Oh,
with
yeah,
the customers about this the other week.
yeah, yeah. One of our There's interesting in the comments if you see Steve having a friendly discussion with one of our commentators on there or somebody, one of our viewers. And I'd like to thank that guy because it made for an interesting read. And neither of you are wrong, and neither you're yes, but they're light armored vehicles, I believe, or things like this. So the technical term, a tank, is a bit better. I mean, I say chieftain tank. The modern equivalent of the chieftain tank is the Challenger tank. Yeah, so nobody picked up my mistake. I picked it up just after I watched the video again. But it's a predicting what you need. I mean, the military will always ask for more money. That's just what they do. And there's nothing against the military on that. Defense of your own country, I do still believe, is one of the government's first priorities. Not the defense in the British case of Europe, not the defense of, I hate to say it, Israel or other countries. Yeah. They all choose in the Middle East. They choose to pick fights with each other. We can't go around choosing sides all the time. I think Israel are more than capable of looking after themselves. So yeah, I do consider defense important. We have put so much money and resources already into Ukraine, and yet the Russians are still kicking around in their yards there. So I asked myself the question, why, if it's so important? And yeah,
Just an important. Good you touched on Russia. They advised foreign diplomats with
oh yeah,
diplomatic things going on in Kiev,
so,
and also organisations to vacate the city. That doesn't sound very comforting.
no, well they're pretty much, despite you hear from what I understand. I mean, none of us get, even from our own news media, we don't get accurate news of what's going on there. I mean, you follow news channels from both sides of the argument all the time, and then you say something to me, I go, no, and I proved wrong. So hey, I'm not, yeah. But yes, I think they've left Kiev pretty much untouched. I know you've had a few things go there. Obviously, Ukraine have been hitting places in Russia, and so Russia have probably Putin and the Putin administration, the Russian and the military have said, we're gloves off, time to
In
go
the
for it. Yeah.
no, no, in the next day or two,
Mm,
in Moscow, there's going to be a big parade
mm,
of it's the VE
yeah.
celebrations,
Yeah.
right? And so what Putin said is that if Ukraine sends across any drones to try and
Yeah.
disrupt
Yeah.
the this
It's celebration.
parade,
Yeah.
he's going to blow the hell out of it did Donald Trump. He's
Yeah.
going to blow the hell out of Kiev, and he's told all these people, these foreigners, to get out of Kiev
Yeah.
because he suspects that somebody in Ukraine is going to send a drone or two across, and if they do,
Well, I tell you what, I'm a little bit suspicious about the Ukrainian military, that the head of the Ukrainian military might not be in total control of all the military factions. I don't know. Anyway, I'd like to get back to the UK. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, defense spending. Yeah. I mean, obviously the light armored vehicle we've been talking about. Yeah, they seem to have problems building a conventional vehicle. So I don't know what will be next if you actually let them loose now to design ships. I mean, I kind of agree with this.
Not sure if
Yeah.
they can build a canoe.
We might end up with battleships that automatically become submarines at some point anyway. Um, uh, but I do agree with him. I mean, when we talk about drone ships and all that, I keep saying autonomous, sort of semi-autonomous or autonomous um, uh, hardware is probably the future. So he's probably not wrong. But how are you going to deal with that? I mean, Russia haven't invested a lot in their navy. I mean, we've had a ship going up and down the English coast, off the coast of Essex. Or, yeah, somebody put in a local paper near I come from. Yeah, um, Russian ship seen off the coast of England. I said, well, I think off the coast anywhere is a good place for a ship to be. I can't really think where else they would be. I mean, maybe if the ship suddenly sailed down Knightsbridge, somebody might, yeah, you probably could, yeah, say, this is not on Putin. How did you manage that anyway? But yeah, he's got a ship in international waters. It's been monitored all the time. It might have an unofficial allied escort underneath it, etc. So I think Putin, they know what they're doing. The Russians are playing their normal game. This is quite. If you talk to any ex-military people, this this playing against the wall is what the Russians do. They see what the response is. They've been doing it for years. Yeah, and I think it's quite fun. The guys in the military actually quite like it because it eases the boredom. Yeah, they suddenly get scrambled or they get called into action. They're sitting around, keep painting, keep marching, and everything else. Suddenly they're actually called to do their actual job, and they quite like it. And what happens? They go up to the side of the ships and all that, and the two crews give each other an ironic wave. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes if they're around scene, they might hold up something that says "Merry Christmas" or something. Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. But might send over a bottle of snaps or something. A bit of wine and bit of snaps in return. I mean, they're gold guys doing their job. Um, but yeah, we we have had the serious defence review that is probably already out of date when you start looking at it if they don't know how to fund
I
it.
don't know if it's been published yet.
Yeah,
I think as far as I know, it's still overdue.
yeah. Well, reports always are overdue. That's just what the
No, but
nature.
I mean a lot
Yeah,
overdue. A lot
yeah,
overdue.
yeah. But um, yes, I mean defence spending. Okay, the equipment is now getting life expired, which is what you expect. Yeah, and you should always plan for that, but nobody ever does. How far? It's like your car. What's your maintenance regime on your car? Your car is now actually classed as a classic car in some places in the world, in the UK and other places. They have conventions with your car going to it. Yeah.
Those, those that don't appreciate classic cars just call it a pile of shit.
I I've been in it. It's got four wheels and the brakes work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure about the steering when Steve was driving, whether that was the steering problem or Steve, but
That was the alcohol.
oh, okay.
I don't drink and drive people
No, no,
anymore.
no, no. The sarcasm here. Yes, it's not a good idea to drink and drive in Brazil either. Yeah, don't
Here,
come here.
here,
Yeah,
just to
yeah,
justify what I just said. Here, until I think it was around about 8 years ago,
mm,
you could drink and drive until you got into an accident. If you got into an accident, it's always your fault.
yeah,
And if you were stopped in a blitz and you were pissed as a fart, they'd let you go home, but they'd say to you, drive carefully.
yeah,
These days, it's a tolerance zero, and
yeah,
if you are caught with even a tiny bit of alcohol in your
yeah,
blood, you get fined,
yeah.
and you
I,
get your points on your license.
yeah, when I've been driving,
I
I've
don't
been
drink and drive.
no, I have been stopped. Obviously they have blocks and you pull in and everything, but we get away from defence here. But yes,
No, I know. I
yeah,
know.
yeah, um, yeah. Well, just to round off. various serious issues deciding how the future of the British UK military is going to go. I'm not interested in a European-wide military because I think that's heading for disaster anyway. I think there was a time the British military for the army was be the best, and it was probably the best in Europe and possibly one of the best in the wider world. Even the Americans used to admire the British military. Probably Trump would have visited 20, 30 years ago and go, we're really behind against these guys. Now we'd probably visit and go, where? Yeah.
HMS Iron Duke is being stripped for parts for the other frigates. It's a little bit like me going to the local scrapyard and parts off a second-hand scrap car and put them on mine.
Do you mind? That's how I kept one of my classic cars going once. A Morris Marina 1800 coupe.
Yeah.
That's now a classic car.
That sounds classic.
They were good little car. They were good. It wasn't little. It was a good car, but it's the finest piece of British engineering you'd ever see. The British Leyland, yeah, Morris.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's a Morris
Marina, yeah, Morris Marina. But yeah, very fine piece of British engineering. Yeah, you felt every bump, and you felt every gust of wind in it.